bestselling author Leigh, and it's titled Elizabeth's Wolf. So let me go ahead and read the back of the book for you. New York Times bestselling author Leigh returns to the highly charged and carnal fresh fiction world of her breed's novels with an expanded edition of Elizabeth's Wolf, a paranormal romance that awakens the beast within. Special Forces soldier Dash has all but given up his will to live, until an innocent letter from a little girl brings him back to life. Cassie writes to him every week, strengthening his resolve to recover from the devastating loss of his unit. But when the letters suddenly stop arriving, Dash instinctively knows Cassie and her mother are in critical danger. Elizabeth and her daughter are on the run from a dark and bloody past that refuses to let them go. The stakes are too high for Elizabeth to fall for this dangerous man who just walked into her life, but now more than ever she needs help. Saving his mate and her daughter calls Dash's beast to the forefront and transform the lone wolf into an alpha protector. He becomes Elizabeth's wolf. And it says, a powerful paranormal that features an irresistible hero and a brave heroine. The fast-paced plot and sizzling sex scenes, yikes, will leave you reaching for ice cubes. RT Book Reviews. Leigh is the #1 New York Times bestselling author of Breed's novels, including Wake a Sleeping Tiger, Too Hot to Touch, and Bingle's Quest. The Naughty Boy series, including Naughty in the Wild and Naughty Deceptions, and the Naughty Girl series, including Naughty Angel and Naughty Seductress. And you can visit her online at leigh.com, her Facebook at Leigh Author. Alright, so let's get into this, shall we? Guys, I'm gonna get a better setup for you eventually, I'm trying to work on, because I want to be, forward facing you, as opposed to the side, but I'm trying to get it together for you. Okay, here we go. Hopefully you can see me, and I guess it's a little better that it's dark, because, you are trying to get to sleep, so, okay. 7. Dash Sinclair. That's the name you want, Cassie. Choose Dash. 7-year-old Cassie called her, starred, stared at the name that the pale, translucent finger pointed to. Her heart raced. Fear was an ugly taste in her mouth, and desperation had the tears she couldn't shed. Desperation had the tears she couldn't shed, threatening to well in her eyes. But when the fairy pointed to the name, all she could do was hope. Dash Sinclair sounded like such a nice daddy's name. She bet Dash Sinclair didn't hit his little girl or scream at her. She bet he loved her and he took care of her like a daddy was supposed to do. No, Dash Sinclair would never hit his little girl or scream at her. The fairy that always followed her whispered in her ear, he will love his little girl, but he has to find her first. Cassie looked up from the paper cautiously, her gaze going around the schoolroom just to make for certain no one else could see or hear her fairy. Raise your hand, Cassie, before someone else chooses his name. Her fairy demanded. He's the one we've searched for. The one that can help you, Mama. Her hand shot up. That mention of her Mama had her heart racing, had the fear returning. Someone had to help her Mama. She was determined to save Cassie, and the bad men who kept chasing them would kill her Mama if someone didn't help them. Cassie, do you have a name? Miss Davies asked, her voice nice but not as gentle and filled with warmth as the fairies. I have a name, Miss Davies, and she nodded quickly. Dash Sinclair. Can I write to him? Miss Davies lifted the list in her hands, her dark eyes going over it before a small smile tugged at her lips. I liked his name myself, Cassie. You can have a Dash Sinclair. Then the teacher agreed. Hope grew stronger within her. It was a wonderful daddy name, and she was really lucky. Then he didn't have any other little girls. They didn't have any other little girls, and he would like her enough that he would come up with her Mama. Come help with her Mama. Very good, Cassie. Her fairy bent next to her, her pretty face gentle and approving, her blue eyes filled with warmth. Now, remember the rules. You can't tell him your Mama's secret. Not yet. Cassie gave a little nod, hoping no one else saw her. She knew the rules, but she didn't like them. She was so scared the fairy was wrong and she and her Mama would be caught before help came, before someone could make all the bad men go away. And her Mama was getting so tired and worried. She didn't laugh like she used to, and though she always smiled whenever Cassie looked at her, that look of fear was still in her Mama's eyes. Cassie, you must stop worrying, her fairy cautioned her softly, a stroke of warmth drifting over her cheek where the fairy fingers moved over it. I promise I'll watch over you and your Mama. Now be good, obey the rules, and do as I told you, and one day your Mama will laugh again, I promise you. And her fairy had never broken her promises to Cassie. Since that first night when her own daddy had tried to give her to the bad man, and the bad man had killed him, her fairy had been there. Dash Sinclair is a wonderful daddy's name, Cassie. Just remember that, and he will save your Mama just as soon as your letters save him. Iraq, 2 2 weeks later. He was dying. That knowledge drifted through the darkness Dash Sinclair found himself within as he became aware of the fact that he was aware. He'd have been amused if the part of himself that had awakened had the ability to be amused. Sadly, the only ability it seemed to have was keeping him alive when all he wanted to do was give up and drift away. He was 30 years old, no doubt lying in yet another hospital, buried beneath more drugs, the clock ticking off the seconds, the hours since he'd known there was no avoiding the missile he'd heard, warning its way to the chopper he and his men were in. The 11 men he'd commanded for the past years had been laughing, teasing each other, and sharing their plans of how they'd spend their leave once they landed. How they'd leave the harsh desert behind for 6 weeks and return to the States. They'd return to family, girlfriends, or simply friends. They'd be welcomed, hugged, and pulled back into the lives they'd left behind to fight a war halfway around the world. Search for missions to take until the unit came together once again. Now they wouldn't be returning home either. The blurred, distant knowledge that the soldiers he's commanded were dead weighed on him. That knowledge didn't affect the beast that pulled him from the place where he could just drift away. Snarling and clawing, the animal dragged him back, held him with each fierce heartbeat, and refused to let go. That secret, hidden a part of who and what he snapped at the darkness, threatened to wreak havoc, to break free and reveal itself if Dash didn't pour himself from oblivion. And all he wanted to do was let go. Every day of his life had been survival. No friends, no family, no one to call his own. Claiming someone meant making explanations. It meant trusting someone with his secrets. Secrets that could reveal who he was, what he was. It was a risk he couldn't take. He was alone and so tired of merely existing rather than living. And why was he living when the men he commanded, men with friends and families, wives and lovers, were dead? Well, Dash, it would seem you have a fan. The voice of his commanding officer, Colonel Thomas, penetrated the darkness and the hidden primal rage. His words caused Dash to jerk alert despite the pain that assailed him as he did so. He had no fans, no friends or family, and he had lost his unit. He was damn tired of hiding and fighting, and he couldn't let himself just sleep. And now the animal he always fought to deny was awake as it had never been before and forcing him to listen, to pay attention. A nice little girl named Cassie sent sent you a letter. Let me read this to you real fast. I'll answer her until you're well enough to do it yourself. But I have a feeling this little girl would get right pissed if you didn't eventually answer. His commander cleared his throat. Listen close now. You don't want to miss a word of this. And he began to read. I liked your name best when the teacher gave us the list. I see. Dash Sinclair. It has a very nice sound to it, I think. Mama said it's a very brave, very handsome name, and she bets you like it lots. I thought it sounded like a daddy's name. I bet you have a lot of little girls. And I bet they are very proud of your name. I don't have a daddy, but if I had one, then I would love a name like yours. I would love a name like that for my daddy. He had created his own name. Long ago, far away, created a name he had prayed would hide his past. Then he had fought to change himself as well. But he didn't have lots of little girls, and he wasn't a daddy. The words of his commander red seeped into his brain as a sense of urgency began to fill him. My mama, her name is Elizabeth, and she has a black hair kinda like me, and pretty blue eyes, but my eyes are kind of blue too. I have a really pretty mama. Dash. I'm sorry guys, I'm super tired. I'm probably gonna read like 2 more pages. So that's why all the hiccups, you know. My mama, her name is Elizabeth, and she has black hair kinda like me, and pretty blue eyes, but my eyes are kinda blue too. I have a really pretty mama. She makes me cookies and even tells me it's okay to talk to the fairy that lives in my room with me. My mama is really nice. My mama says you are a very brave man, that you are fighting to keep us safe. I wish you were here with us, Dash. 'Cause sometimes my mama gets very tired. Even though he was in pain, barely conscious, a sense of alarm surged through him. He could hear her fear in that simple sentence, read by Colonel, who didn't seem to recognize it. It was a plea for protection, and he knew in that moment he'd have to fight to live. He had to live. He had to save Cassie and her mama. Dash saw Cassie, small and delicate, whimpering in fear, but in bright, vivid colors. He saw her mother, desperate, frightened, poised in front of her daughter like a protective she-wolf, snarling or gnarling in fury. Why did he see that? Why did the image taunt him? It was a little Cassie who wrote to him, but with each line about her mother, each description, each phrase concerning the mama who looked after her, Dash's worry and need grew. His sense of possessiveness, his hunger, his inborn knowledge that somehow, someway Elizabeth and Cassie belonged to him, began to strengthen him inside. Or strengthen inside him. Yes, the name Dash was a good name for Cassie's daddy, but it was also a good name for a mate, Elizabeth's mate. The primal instinct of the animal he'd always denied refused to rest now. His senses became sharper and he became stronger as he fought against the pain and weakness to heal himself, twisting shadows of violence in the dark bloody stains of of death began to emerge and coalesce around Cassie and her mama as the letters came to him. The child and her mama were his, and they were in danger. He had to live. He had a reason to live now. My mama says you must be a kind man. Kind men don't hit little girls, do they? As his commander read that line, it echoed in his head, over and over again, allowing more of the fury, the strength, and the abilities he's always allowed to sleep, to awaken. Darn it, Dash, Colonel. Thomas sighed. That didn't sound good at all, did it? Some men just aren't worth the air they breathe now, are they? So innocently phrased, yet with a wealth of meaning. He strained within the dark agony that filled him, fought through the layers of pain to find consciousness, to heal, to live. Okay, this is getting really, really good, guys. I am going to continue reading that maybe tomorrow, maybe in a couple of days. I'm not 100% sure, but I will get back to that book, and I think it's perfect for the month of Halloween. Or maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. We shall see. But I will be getting back into that, reading that for you. And I really hope that you enjoy this video. And I will see you in the next one. Have sweet, sweet dreams.